What is up, enthusiasts? My name is Drew. Welcome back to PC Planet. With me in the virtual studio tonight is our Facebook group administrator, Corey.
Hey guys, how's it going? Corey Resch here, administrator with the Southern Colorado Computer Enthusiasts Facebook group. It's not just me, I got a lot of moderators helping me, and we got this guy Drew who helps out with our YouTube channel, website, podcast, and a ton of other shit. Shout out to this guy.
Well, thank you, Corey, and shout out to our masterful overlord, which would be you, for creating this group that we all love so much. We're getting pretty close to 1,000 members, huh?
Yeah, 745, I think.
Not bad. 3/4 the way there.
Now, we would be a lot higher. The problem is we do have strict policies on how much you can sell a part for. It has to be like below MSRP within the current market and a lot of that stuff, which meant we had a lot of people who were known scalpers that ended up leaving our group or got banned because their listings kept getting declined.
Yeah,
But,
well, that happens.
it is what it is what it is. It is what it is.
Don't be a dirty scalper, and that won't happen to you.
Yeah.
And if you would like to join the Facebook group, we have a handy dandy URL, sccetech.net/Facebook, which you can just go to and it'll teleport you right to Facebook, if teleportation to Facebook is your thing. Anyway, let's get started. We got a few news items today, and a new product that I discovered right before this podcast, right before this episode, the Lunar Artefacts pointer instrument in various colors and materials. The one that I found was the classic brown leather. It's a leather mouse. The top of it is fully leather. It's hand stitched, hand polished, hand assembled, and the price is US $257. However,
now, to be fair, yes, that is a price point to balk at for a mouse that looks like this. However, it does have Bluetooth 5.0, USB running on 2.4 gigahertz bandwidth for reception. It also supports QI wireless charging, as well as USB-C charging, and it has a DPI of up to 3,000. So, not bad. And if you don't like the base of the mouse, it also comes with a extra base plate that you can add to it to add more girth to the mouse, if, girth is your thing.
yep. I'm gonna take a look at a close-up here. It obviously is a very, very well-designed mouse. And to be fair, probably the $257, there was probably at least that much in labor that went into this mouse.
I mean, aside from the leather, the entire chassis underneath the leather is metal. And you have two options. You can either get it in aluminum or brass. Solid brass.
There's actually a lot more options. 6, in fact.
Okay.
You can get it in black. That's kind of cool. In both silver and brass.
And do we know that this is genuine leather, not faux leather?
It's probably genuine leather at this price, I would imagine.
French calf leather with minimum treatment. Okay.
Yeah. There we go. So, in case you want that, there will be a link in the description. Not a sponsored link because it's their own website and we are not sponsored by Lunar Artefacts. But
I'll be honest though, it's a solid looking device.
Yeah.
Do I think it's worth the $250+?
Not for me.
Not for me, but I could definitely see the use case.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I could definitely see somebody dropping that kind of money on it.
Yeah, definitely. And
just like all you 3090 Ti buyers out there, hey, here's a mouse for you.
Maybe the 4090 PC Gamer had an article recently, and this headline is perfect, and I completely agree with it. The headline is if a 900 watt NVIDIA GeForce card appears, yes, 900 watt GeForce card appears in the next generation, the GPU industry has lost its head. And yeah,
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 I agree.
yeah. There is absolutely no reason that a GPU by itself should be using like 1.5 times the power that my power supply is even capable of outputting.
I mean, the rumors already suggest the top card that potentially the 4090 could draw up to 600 watts when it comes to total graphics power, TGP. That's already offensively large amount of power, although though it will be passed off as a card for creators and not really for gaming PCs, which, let's be honest, is the same thing they said for the 3090, and we saw how that went.
Yeah. Well, and so yeah, the 900 watt SKU very likely would be the 4090 Ti.
Agreed. Agreed.
And in fact, that's what the leaker basically says. But yeah, no, like you're out of your mind if you think that anybody anybody is gonna even have the hardware to run a 900 watt GPU.
Well, okay, hang on. To be fair, the 3090 was one of the last cards that supported SLI. So, what was the TDP on a 3090
What,
or
like
a TGP?
450 watts, I think.
Hang on. RTX 3090 TGP. 450 watt TGP. A lot of these creators, like movie studios and whatever that are doing 3D animation, a lot of these guys they had twin 3090s and twin 3090 Ti's in SLI, and those had a TGP of 450 watts each. So you're looking at 900 watts of TGP just for your SLI setup. And if this 4090 can match that kind of performance with a TGP of 600 to 900 watts, realistically, you would be kind of saving yourself number one, space, number two, cable management, and number three, potentially money going with the 4090 and 4090 Ti if you are a content creator.
That's true, but you better have a beefy power supply because as we saw with the 30 series, the total board power or the total graphics power, however you want to say it, is one thing. The problem with the 30 series is that they had momentary spikes of way over that, and that's what was causing people's machines to just shut off. Is they would
Well,
have momentary spikes that the power supplies just could not handle.
and like I was saying, if you are a content creator like Linus Tech Tips, who dropped over $200,000 on a video camera just for the capability of 8K footage, if you have that kind of budget and you're a content creator and you're currently rocking twin 3090s in SLI, you already have a power supply that's more than sufficient to run a single 4090 or 4090 Ti. Now, as far as I know, there is no answer yet as to whether or not the 4090 Ti will support SLI. And if that is the case, check out the benchmarks. Wait till they come out, in full force. Check out the benchmarks. See what's going on there. You know, and if a single 4090 or 4090 Ti can beat out the performance of twin 3090s, and you have the budget and the power supply already because you're running twin 3090s in SLI, I say go for it. If you're a content creator and you can afford it, go for it.
Yeah,
Just
that was
do
what
your
my next question
research.
was going to be. Do we think that any of the 40 series is going to support SLI?
I don't know. I don't know. So far, as I know, we haven't seen anything when it comes to that. All we've seen really is the boost clocks, base clocks, and TGP. That's really all I've seen for the 40 series.
Yeah, and I guess a better question would be: would there even be a point to having SLI in the 40 series.
I'll be honest. I personally, I don't think so. I don't think so because as Nvidia has officially cut support for SLI, I don't really think there's a lot of applications that will continue to update support for SLI. I mean, look at Crisis. Back in the day, Crisis. If you had, a single, GPU like a 9800 GTX Plus or something like that, that was one thing. But if you had two running an SLI, you ran into issues like trees disappearing or tires disappearing off of cars, things like that. So I don't know. I mean, maybe, but really the question comes down to stability.
Yeah, and stability and really just software support.
Yeah, exactly.
No modern game is going to natively support SLI. No modern game needs to natively support SLI because graphics cards have just gotten so damn powerful that you just don't need a technology like SLI for games.
I mean, exactly. And to put that into perspective, I mean, I picked up a machine out of recycling. Somebody just tossed a machine into recycling, and I ended up picking it up. And this thing had a Ryzen 5 1500X on a MSI B350 Tomahawk MSI motherboard, or MSI B350 Tomahawk motherboard with 16 gigs of DDR4 3000 and a GTX 1050 2 gigabyte card, which has a base clock of 1400 megahertz. And 5 minutes with the MSI Afterburner got it up to almost 2000 megahertz and continuing to run on the base clock without MSI Afterburner running, just letting it, auto overclock on its own. I mean, Fear Ultimate Edition was hitting 4 to 500 FPS regularly. Doom 2016 was hitting a solid 60. Call of Duty Ghosts was hitting a solid 90 plus FPS. And Jedi Fallen Order, which is easily the most demanding of all these titles, be it through, graphics power or optimization, it's the most demanding.
Yeah,
Even it at maxed out settings was hitting 50 plus FPS on a GTX 1052 gig, 2 gigabyte card,
at what
like
resolution?
1080p at
Jeez.
1080p, and graphics cards and PC components have come so far that even older hardware is more than capable of handling day-to-day tasks with a solid amount of gaming.
Yeah, and also your 1050 is just an absolute unicorn because you've overclocked that thing by like 400 or 500 megahertz.
I set MSI Afterburner to plus on the memory clock, and the what is it, physics GPU, whatever, the GPU clock and the memory clock. I set it to plus 202. It hit 1975 megahertz, and currently, by 3D Mark, sorting by rigs, sorting by like Firestrike, with tests only done by a
With
rig with a
identical hardware.
1500X.
Yeah.
Yeah, with identical hardware. This rig is currently sitting in sixth place worldwide and first place in the US.
Fastest 1050 in the West.
And I'll be honest, and again, I state again, I picked this thing up out of recycling.
For free.
Yeah, this thing was destined for e-waste. Like whoever got rid of it, they were just like, I'm done with it. I don't even want it anymore. It's trash. It's trash. Whatever. And I'm like, no, bro,
No.
this is a solid esports gaming machine.
Yeah, totally.
So yeah, I ended up picking up the rig. I ran some tests on it, found out what it could do. What it could do. I ended up swapping out the case fans from the stock non-RGB Roseville case fans. I ended up swapping them out for uh, what is that company? Fucking starts with an E. I'm losing my mind here.
Enermax?
No, it's gonna drive me nuts.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you.
It's like Asia
Anyway,
Horse and all those
oh
other
yeah,
companies.
sure.
Anyways, they're just basic RGB fans, but I ended up, swapping out all the case fans, all three case fans for those, and repasted the GPU and the CPU. And this thing is hitting 1,974 megahertz, the GPU, at 49 Celsius, and is averaging 29 Celsius at idle.
That is so insane.
Oh, Easy DIY Fab.
Ah, yes.
Yep, Easy DIY Fab fans.
You know, I actually really like their products.
I'll be honest, I do too. I mean, those fans have been those fans that I put in this machine, they're still solid. They're still running perfectly at like 1,300 RPM. And those fans spent a year and a half in another rig, and then spent another year chilling in a drawer, and now they're in this fan, and I took them to work in a Walmart sack.
Yeah, no, Easy DIY makes great stuff.
Yeah.
I had two, in fact, GPU anti-sag brackets, and despite the fact that I ended up not needing them because I got a smaller graphics card anyway, uh, they were great. They were both ARGB. They did their job. They worked. Yeah, they were absolutely great.
And
Um,
the fact that you can pick up like a 5 pack for like $40.
oh yeah, the fans, absolutely. It's absolutely
Yeah.
wild.
A five
Um,
pack for like $40.
while we're
Now, granted,
on,
the ones that I got, they weren't ARGB. They have a remote control that comes with them.
okay, but still,
But I mean, this remote, it has like 110 different options. I mean, it's like,
yeah, no, it's absolutely wild. So I'm gonna actually share this real quick. Um, while we're on the subject of cheap but oddly good computer parts, this thing,
you got.
the ID Cooling SE 214 XT ARGB, it was a $20 tower cooler. It's like it's a gorgeous cooler. It's all white. It's got ARGB. It even is Alder Lake compatible. Comes with an Alder Lake mount. The mounting system isn't totally stupid. It was a pretty easy thing to mount. It used the stock AMD back bracket thing, and honestly, it performs as good, if not better, than my MSI Mag 240R liquid cooler.
So it's
That
like a
was,
really good Hyper 212 mimic.
yeah, it's a really good Hyper 212 clone. And it's, yeah, in some ways, a lot of ways, better than a Hyper 212 because it's way
ARGB.
cheaper. It's got AirGB, so it syncs with any 3 pin. It comes with a, yeah, it's so good for how cheap it is.
Real quick, give me just a second. I see that it has 4 heat pipes. I'm looking up here. Hyper 212.
Yep, it's got 4 heat pipes. And it claims 100% memory compatibility, and I actually believe that because as I have it installed, the fan does not interfere with the
Yeah.
memory slots at all.
The Hyper 212 also has 4 heat pipes.
Yeah, so honestly, ID cooling, great job. They make some liquid coolers that I actually would like to check out too.
On terms of hardware that I want to check out, that actually reminds me, for anyone who didn't know, Dollar Tree, the dollar store, has included a section called, what is it, like Dollar Tree Premium or something like that? Anyways, it's an aisle that has products that are above $1, and one of them is a gaming PC keyboard for
Seriously?
$5. For $5.
For $5.
And I'll be honest, I really want to check it out. I really want to check it out. I mean,
It's
I
not one of
almost
those.
get almost guaranteed it's going to be a membrane keyboard.
Oh,
It's going
well,
to
of
have
course.
it's going to have pre-programmed light sequences, probably not addressable light sequences.
Oh,
But
no, of course not.
I'll be honest, for $5, I want to check it out.
I mean, my $40 mechanical keyboard from Theodio that I did do a review on, so watch that video using the link down below, uh, is actually pretty good. It does not have like customizable colors, and that's fine. I didn't expect that out of a $40 keyboard
Yeah, 40
from a
bucks.
manufacturer that I'd never heard of before. But being a mechanical keyboard, it is a real mechanical keyboard. It has real, not cherry switches, but cherry style switches. And I was actually able to get a 104 key keycap set from HyperX, and it works.
Nice.
And the stock keycaps were kind of crappy, but the fact that it had Cherry MX style switches meant that I could use Cherry MX style keycaps, and now it's absolutely great. I love typing on it.
And that's actually another thing. Another thing I want to test with this keyboard is, can I swap out the keycaps for a $5 keyboard? Can I swap out the
Probably
keycaps?
not, but we'll find out.
I want to find out. I want to find out, and it's only $5. So like, I'll do it.
Yeah, make a video on it. $5 keyboard.
All right.
So
What else
we
we
got
got?
we got some other nicely priced tech items here.
You're talking about the 6900 XT?
Not just the 6900 XT, but really graphics cards in general. We're gonna share it. All right, this guy here. We got the first off. We got the 6900 XT Red Devil. So not even a reference card, actually an AIB card for the MSRP of $999.99. In fact, AMD also has the reference cards still in stock for $999 over at AMD.com.
And right here, 25 plus new in stock at the Denver Micro Center.
Yes, sir. And there's even an open box card for $944, and it's complete. Comes with the manufacturer warranty. I don't see any reason why you shouldn't buy that. Maybe not you personally, Corey, but you, the viewer.
Hey,
So,
I have I have a Gigabyte RTX 3070 Aorus Master. I'm not upgrading anytime soon.
yeah, you and your graphics card with its own built-in screen.
Hey,
Uh,
if anybody is looking for a 3070, the Aorus Master in terms of boost clock, TGP, all that good stuff, it is in the top three 3070s to get if you're in the market for one. So check it out.
well, on the subject of 3070s, Newegg has a 3070 Ti for $699.
Which is amazing considering the pricing we've seen over the past year or so.
Yeah, and it's an Asus TUF too, which are usually a lot more expensive.
Yeah, and it's a triple fan.
Yeah. And then
Like Asus cards
yeah.
are generally known. Asus cards, alongside like their Asus Strix and the Zotac models, they're known for being on the higher priced side. So, $700 for a 3070 Ti. And out of curiosity, Drew, what was the MSRP on the reference 3070 Ti?
The MSRP on the reference 3070 Ti was $599.
Yeah, so $100 extra gets you a fucking Asus Tough triple fan card. Check it
Yeah.
out.
Like if you
Newegg.
absolutely need a 3070 Ti right now, not a bad price. If you can afford to wait it out, I would wait it out
That being
because
said, unlike other retailers, Newegg is limit 2 per customer.
That's true. So if you really need two of them, I guess get it from Newegg. Continuing with Newegg and graphics cards, back over to the Team Red side. We've got an MSI Mech Radeon 65 or 6700 XT for $529, $514 after a $15 rebate.
You know something that just caught my eye. Go back to the Asus Tough. It has a OC mode, boost clock of 1815 megahertz.
Yes, it
Swap over to the
does.
swap over to the 6700 XT, boost clock of 2581 megahertz.
Yeah. Yeah. So the
That's
thing about the
interesting.
6700 XT, which makes me a little bit mad, is that it's basically a very shaved 6800, but
Okay.
they and it's got a more limited memory bus, 192-bit versus 256-bit, but they boosted the clock speeds so that it performs better. But it's I don't know. It's a weird card that stands alone. It's the only
And for,
Navi 22 card,
and for $515,
but
it
yeah,
wins. It wins.
having used a 6700 XT that I paid way more than $514 for,
Right.
$514 for a 6700 XT is a damn good deal if you don't care about ray tracing and some of the other fun stuff that Nvidia has, like Nvidia Broadcast, for example, which we are both using right now, and
It's amazing.
DLSS. It is amazing. It's absolutely amazing. Granted, it is stuff that you could do in post production, but having it be able to be done in real time is just absolutely great. It's such a massive, massive time saver.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but if you
I mean,
don't care about any of that,
look at our backgrounds.
yeah, I don't have a green screen anymore. For
Me
now,
neither.
you never had a green screen, Corey.
You know what? In fact, let me go ahead and boop.
Oh,
That's what's behind me.
no green screen. Yeah.
And boop.
So, it, what I was saying about the 6700 XT, yeah, if you don't care about all that stuff, is all you care about is just pure
Gaming.
games. That's it. 6700 XT for $514, even for $529, if you forget to get the rebate card, is a killer deal.
Limit 20 per customer. I'm gonna point out the fact that it says the fact that it says limit 20 per customer and it's still in stock
It
testifies
means
to
that
how
miners don't care
much
anymore.
it that testifies to how much the GPU market is settling down.
Yeah, yeah, no, it really, really does. And the MSRP for the reference 6700 XT is for 479.
Hang on, I'll
Yeah,
check
I
real
believe it's
fast.
four. It's 479. So for you know just $50 more than MSRP, you're getting an AIB card. And it's a dual fan card. It's not a three. It's not a three fan card. But you can't really go wrong.
6700 XT MSRP. Wow, I totally butchered that spelling.
What did you type there?
Oh, you don't want to know. Yeah,
No,
479. 479, and that was for. And I'm also going to point out that AMD's reference card was also a dual fan card.
it was, and it wasn't a very good one. By my recollection, the you couldn't really overclock it at all. It had zero overclocking headroom. Uh, Lots of like mounting pressure issues. So you'd probably be better off going with an AIB card anyway for the 6700 XT. But that said, MSI makes fine cards. I have no problem with MSI cards.
I have no problems with MSI cards. I have a problem with MSI.
Yeah, I have a problem with their customer service and their just the general customer support. But
Not
and you
just
may
that,
not ever get that $15 rebate card.
if anyone here has been tracking with GPUs and their history over the past couple of years, there was actually a company that was launching MSI cards $200 to $300 above MSRP. And when you dug into the company, guess who owned that company?
It was MSI.
Microstar International.
Yep.
Fuck you, MSI.
I
You
remember
knew
when this happened.
and and MSI turned like flipped it and was like, "Oh, a bunch of cards went missing from our inventory. We don't know what happened to them." No, bull. You knew exactly where those cards were.
Yeah, they knew.
Yeah, no. MSI makes good products. MSI.
But if you want a 6700 XT for not that much above MSRP, go for it.
Go ahead and grab it. RX 7000 GPUs have been taped out. 7700 XT undergoing mass production. Let me go ahead and go through here. 7000 graphics cards, otherwise known as RDNA 3 family, will be launched later this year. The top end RX 7800 XT and 7900 XT will feature a chiplet design, with the latter packing as many as 7 separate dies. Both will leverage TSMC's 5nm and 6nm processes, depending on the die and the performance tier. And this is coming from hardwaretimes.com.
I believe I was also reading that for some reason, the 7700 XT will come out before those two.
Yes. The Navi 33 core, which will power the Radeon 7700 XT, is almost certainly in the mass production stage and awaiting the packaging and assembly process. It should launch along the RTX 4080, 4070 in the second half of 2022, which we are coming up on.
Yes,
As
we
for
are.
Navi 31, which will form the heart of the Radeon 7900 XT, we can expect volume production to be underway as well. The launch should theoretically be targeted for the holiday season or for the first quarter of 2023. Finally, we have the Navi 32 die, which will power the 7800 XT. This will be the final SKU for the Navi 3X part to be mass produced. According to Greymon55, this particular SKU was taped out in the last quarter of 2021, which means mass production should begin anytime now.
Yeah, so okay, if AMD comes out with the 7700 XT at the same MSRP as the 6700 XT should have been, which is 479, if they and the AIB partners actually managed to have ample stock at that price, which, let's be honest, is a little bit of a toss-up. But we do
Agreed.
have the Ethereum 2 merge maybe happening this year? I have no idea. It's also been maybe happening for the last 5 years. But the consensus I'm seeing from a lot of the miners out there is that it's going to happen this year. And obviously, the prices have come down enough to where it's pretty obvious that the miners are no longer buying en masse. Especially with Newegg with their limit 20 per customer on that 6700 XT, and the thing is still in stock.
Yeah.
There's a pretty decent chance, if the 7700 XT comes out at $479.99, I might be tempted to spend $479.99.
Well, and here's another thing is, remember how earlier you were referring to the 6000 cards versus the NVIDIA 30 series cards? The 192 bus versus the 256 bus on the NVIDIA cards?
Yeah.
The GCDs pack the main processing cluster across 2 identical dies. Each die will consist of 7680 stream processors across 6 shader arrays and 3 shader engines.
Good grief.
This brings a overall shader count of approximately 15,360 cores spread across 12 shader arrays and 6 shader engines. The overall bus width is expected to be 256, with the memory controllers divided equally among 2 dies.
That is going to be a very fast card.
I'm very much hoping so. I am very much hoping so.
And it would be really nice if AMD's kind of Gen 2 ray tracing cores actually were competitive.
Yeah, and this is kind of funny to me because all these people who, when RTX first came out, and they were all, back in the day, just like back in the day when, uh, shader compositing and super sampling was starting to become a thing, and people were like, "Oh, it's a gimmick. Oh, it's a gimmick." You know, um, or even what is it? Uh, Subspace, specular mapping. Back in the day when that was first starting to become a thing, and people were like, "Oh, it's a gimmick." Well, Nvidia launched real-time ray tracing, and so many people were like, "Oh, it's a gimmick. Oh, it's a gimmick." And now we have AMD and Intel trying to follow suit.
They are, but I mean, my problem with ray tracing is it, it's just not a great experience right now. I don't care which card you have. It takes your performance still, even on NVIDIA cards. Now, granted, you get a lot, there's way less of a performance hit than there was with the 20 series RTX cards. Uh, but the performance hit that you take versus the fidelity increase, I just, the value proposition is just not there for me yet.
So, I will say, Drew, that this is partly a byproduct of your 3060. When you get to 3070 and above, DLSS makes a huge impact. I was playing
Oh, sure.
Control. I was playing Control at 1440p completely maxed out at, 60 plus FPS on my 3070. The only thing I didn't have enabled at the time was full global RTX. I enabled full global RTX. I did the same thing with Cyberpunk. And granted, I took, a 10 to 15 FPS hit, which I'll be honest, 60 plus FPS, a 10 to 15 FPS hit put me at, 45 to 50 FPS, which, to be honest, is still perfectly playable. However, after that, I enabled DLSS, rendering at 1080p upscale to 1440p. And guess what happened? My FPS went right back to where it was before I enabled global RTX. Now, I cannot, speak to other games. I only tested this with Cyberpunk 2077 and Control. But for those two games, RTX set to maximum plus DLSS, my performance hit overall between the two games was like 3 to 4 FPS, which for me was not even noticeable.
That's fair. And yeah, I mean, with DLSS obviously helps a lot. Even with my
Oh yeah.
3060 Ti, if I enable DLSS in games that support it and ray tracing, it works fine. There's no
Yeah.
problem. It doesn't
And it
dip
looks the
below the
same.
refresh rate of my monitor. Okay,
Yeah, and it looks the same. It looks damn near the same as running it at native resolution.
it does.
At
But
least for me. At least for me.
in games that maybe don't support DLSS, I just don't see the value proposition.
Well, again, that comes into where you can actually open up NVIDIA control panel and you can set DLSS to run through NVIDIA control panel outside of games.
Wait, really?
As far as I know,
I'm pretty sure DLSS has to be implemented by the game. I know with AMD's RSR is driver level and can be implemented on any game, even if the game doesn't support it natively. But DLSS has to be natively supported by the game.
Let me check here. Oh, okay. You are correct. That is my bad. I messed up on that. You are correct, sir.
So that's the thing about RSR that is really, really great, is you can enable it in every single game on the planet. And
I was
it
thinking.
really does work.
I was thinking about DSR, not DLSS.
Oh yeah, that's a little bit different. Well, it's been real. It's been fun. It's been real fun. But we got to call it a night tonight, and hopefully you guys will join us next week. Don't forget to leave us a like and subscribe if you want to see more. And
Wherever it is.
Yep.
On your
Wherever
platform.
it is, hit the buttons, all of them. You know what to do. If you liked the video, hit like. If you disliked it, hit dislike, even though nobody else will be able to see it.
No, don't hit dislike. We worked hard on this.
Yeah, we do. We work super hard in the 30 minutes before we record these.
Well, to be fair, Drew works really hard on this. Me, I just talk.
You're just talking. If you want to join us on Facebook, at our Facebook group, sccetech.net/Facebook, and we will see you guys next week.